Welcome back, Ninja community and persons that have watched my quality statement disclaimer video. If you haven't seen that already, you should probably go and check that out. In this video, I'm going to be covering some ninja poetry that typically has a lot of ambiguous application, especially when dealing with an opponent who has good footwork or is fighting you in the manner of a boxer, or how a boxer would try to fight you. Okay, I'll be going over how it's used unarmed, and how it's used with a tonfa, how it's used with a comma, and how it's used with a knife. Okay, so before I get into the application done as just as a kaida, or a piece of a kaida, without its application, I will get into my quality statement disclaimer real quick, so bear with me. The viewer understands my quality statement disclaimer video, additionally agrees to treat this video as is with ballistic protection. It means I don't have a seal on it, therefore I don't guarantee the techniques and or your application of the techniques. And if you're watching this video with the intention of using this content to commit a crime, that is also additionally a crime. Okay, so we can get started. Alright, so in my other video, the first poem was to check for traps is not a waste of time, which of course I covered is essentially a grab of a punch guiding it into your pivoting elbow strike, right? Okay. Which could also have application of an opponent ducking and striking them in the face with your elbow as they ducked in. And there are other applications for weapons. Watch my other video on that. Feel free to check out my other videos on YouTube. Okay. The next ninja poem comes from the same position up here, and you're pivoting the body, you're moving this way. Okay? And it is called "You Should Have Checked for Traps." Okay? It can be performed with weapons, and it comes from a check or a vertical punch to the face or your neck or chin. Okay? You pivot the entire body. The other hand is back here, and much like the first one, like this, it pivots as it strikes. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. What it is the check. It is the check and a pivoting hammer fist. What this is for is if an opponent has stepped to my dead side, right, the side where my back is, okay, which a skilled boxer is very likely to do, right, it is a pivoting hammer fist back here while keeping your guard hand here, your rear guard hand here. With a comma, it's done much the same way, except for it works into other movements. Okay? With a knife, just as though the first movement was slightly modified without drastically modifying the movement, right? To check for traps is not a waste of time. The second portion is you should have checked for traps. And it can, of course, work into other movements. And this, of course, is why, I don't know if I covered all of the application. Okay, so the opponent stepping to my dead side, right, from this position, if I move to here, at the very least, I have changed very quickly to not being not having someone on my dead side, okay? Which is something a boxer would probably be very shocked at. So I just handed you two movements, two techniques, two ninja poems that are highly effective against boxers, especially skilled boxers who are very likely to outstep you, okay? This is a continuation of why I think that a real match with the legendary Ip Man would definitely go in the Ip Man's favor, just as it has done in the past when he took challenges of boxers, especially the famous match of a world champion boxer that was so legendary, so historically profound that it inspired movies. Okay? And the Dao, which is a different looking knife, but essentially is a knife, is part of the art that the Ip Man taught. Okay? So, if I, being a retired ninja, just handed you two techniques that are highly effective against boxers, especially skilled boxers, that is ambiguous with multiple weapons, and especially effective with a knife. Imagine how devastating the Ip Man would really be in a real fight if it were a no-holds-barred fight. Like, no rules. Imagine that. Okay? Pitting a boxer against a trained knife fighter of martial arts that practices the knife is not a good idea. The boxer is essentially trained to lose. He's trained to die. I'm sorry for hurting your feelings about that, but that's just the facts. If you're trained to bob and weave, you're trained to die. Period. End of story. Especially against a knife fighter who's not going to accidentally cut themselves, who's going to work every grab that you possibly could do on their hands into finishing you, just from the wrists, just from the areas that are vital. Trying to put them in holds and submissions is very likely not going to work. Okay? So, this is why I don't agree with Mr. Dewey Ramsey. Okay? This is the second reason why I don't agree with him. I have a better understanding of how the Ip Man would really fare in a fight, especially if it was a real street fight where the Ip Man could be using a Dao, like a knife, which, by the way, is part of the martial arts that he taught. Okay? The sport, the MMA sport out there, is a sport. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of, like, real street application in an MMA ring, especially when the martial artists that I see competing in it are basically going easy on each other or toying with the other person because the refs aren't calling the matches when they should. So the safety of the other competitors is solely on the competitors, the martial artists. So when you see someone put someone in a rear neck choke, see, I wouldn't get on the ground with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm not going to let him take the fight to the ground. That's a bad idea. I'm not going to try to outstep a boxer. MMA is basically set up for jiu-jitsu and boxing combination. Okay? Real self-defense. Look at the traditional martial arts. Look at those. They are based on applications that have survived being used in combat, real combat situations, real war zones. Okay? Being used in battle. So, again, Mr. Dewey Ramsey, disagree with your take on the Ip Man fight versus a boxer, even a champion, especially a champion, who is going to go into those bad positions against a knife fighter. And these applications also apply unarmed. Okay, so again, respectfully disagree with you. This is the second ninja poem of why I do disagree with Mr. Ramsey Dewey. So if you liked my video, feel free to hit like a ninja, and feel free to check out my other videos on YouTube, and feel free to check out me on my Facebook under my artist name Meleo, that's M-E-L-E-O, and feel free to comment below and share my videos with people who are ninja, but not with people who ought to be ninja, okay? They might accidentally learn something. So until next time, stay ninja, my friends. Stay ninja.